Hello, everyone! It's Limery, your favorite Souls-like VTuber. Alright, so the Souls-like genre has been around for over a decade now, defined by its deliberate combat, high stakes, and cryptic storytelling. But with so many imitations flooding the market in the last few years, 2025 marks a pivotal moment for the Souls-like genre. We've seen its meteoric rise, its impact on modern gaming, and its influence on game design across the board. From the brutal combat of Dark Souls to the expansive open world of Elden Ring, Souls-like games have set a new bar for difficulty, exploration, and storytelling. But as we enter 2025, the question remains, has the Souls-like genre evolved, or are we seeing more of the same recycled content? Today, we'll explore how games coming out in 2025 are pushing the boundaries of the Souls-like genre, or perhaps simply imitating what has already been done. 2025 makes promises to shake things up. Or does it? Are we truly evolving? Or are we just seeing more of the same? Before we delve into the specifics of the 2025 games, we need to understand what makes a Souls-like. This isn't just about difficulty, it's about the core design principles that define the genre. Let's take a moment to define exactly what makes a game a Souls-like game. The term is often thrown around, but what does it really mean? For me, as a fan of the genre, it's not just about the difficulty. It's about specific design principles that guide the core experience. And understanding these principles will help us understand whether the upcoming 2025 titles are really evolving or just copying the formula. So let's break it down. Tactical combat. First and foremost, Souls-like games are defined by their tactical combat. Every movement counts, and every strike has weight. Combat is about more than just button mashing. It's about precision, patience, and perfect timing. It's about movement having weight. The combat is deliberate, requiring precision and patience, timing your attacks, managing stamina, and choosing when to defend or counterattack are critical. Unlike traditional action games, where you might spam combos, every strike in a Souls-like game can either make or break your survival. The rhythm of battle is a dance between life and death, risk and reward. Next, there's the risk versus reward system. The stakes are high, you can lose progress at any moment. It's this risk that makes victories all the more sweeter. Souls-like games don't just punish you for mistakes, they make you pay the price. You lose precious resources, whether it's health, experience, or in some cases, your very progress. But that's what makes success so rewarding. When you finally overcome a difficult boss or conquer an area you've been stuck in for hours, it feels earned. Then there's the obscure world building. The story is never fully explained up front. It's scattered throughout the environment cues, item descriptions, and cryptic NPC dialogues. Souls-like games rarely hold your hand. You have to dig deeper to understand the world around you. There's no info dump here. Players must piece together the lore themselves. And while some might find this approach frustrating, I'm some people, it allows for a much more immersive experience for those willing to invest the time and effort. Finally, we have non-linear exploration. The world design is intertwined. Progression is earned through exploration and uncovering secrets. In Souls-like games, the world isn't linear. Progression isn't dictated by a simple quest log. Instead, exploration is the key to unlocking new areas, finding hidden items, and learning more about the world. Secrets are everywhere, and the journey is as important as the destination. You don't just race from checkpoint to checkpoint, you're encouraged to wander, to get lost, and to find your own path. Now that we have a clear picture of what defines the genre, let's dive into what the 2025 titles are bringing to the table. Will these games build on these core elements, or are we simply seeing the same formula with a fresh coat of paint? First up, we have Elden Ring Night Rain. From the studio that brought us Elden Ring and Dark Souls, Night Rain brings a new twist to the formula with procedural generation and roguelike mechanics. But is this innovation or just a rehash? Is this bold evolution or just a gimmick to keep us playing longer? FromSoftware has always been known for its handcrafted world building, each area meticulously designed to create a cohesive and immersive experience. And that's one of the hallmarks of their games. In Night Rain, however, the worlds are procedurally generated, meaning every run can look completely different. Is this a game changer or just a way to extend replayability? This offers an intriguing proposition. Can procedurally generated truly replicate the dense, interconnected world building we've come to expect from Souls-like games? This opens the door for unpredictable challenges, making each playthrough feel fresh. It also allows for shorter, more intense sessions, making it easier for casual players to dip in. On the one hand, procedural generation allows for unpredictable challenges, making each playthrough feel fresh and exciting. This could be perfect for those looking for more replayability and shorter, more intense sessions. Imagine facing a randomized set of enemies and landscapes each time you start a new run. There's a real thrill in that unpredictability. However, the loss of FromSoftware's signature handcrafted levels might come with consequences. The handcrafted level design is what we loved about Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and may not be something we want to lose. Will the lore feel less cohesive, or will the game struggle to maintain narrative depth? When the world itself isn't planned in detail, will the narrative cohesion suffer as a result? Souls-like games are known for their rich world building, and procedural generation might compromise the lore depth that we love. Will AI-generated worlds be able to tell compelling, interconnected stories the way FromSoftware has in the past? Night Rain also introduces a more structured 3-player co-op, a departure from the traditional 2-player co-op found in most Souls games. Does this cooperative element enhance the experience or dilute the challenge? On the one hand, team synergy could lead to exciting new strategies. On the other, it could reduce the tension and intensity that comes with solitary exploration. 3-player co-op could open up more strategic possibilities and allow for greater team synergy. But this might also impact the level of challenge that FromSoftware games are known for. Despite these innovations, much of the game still revolves around combat focused on stamina management and precision parrying. While Night Rain introduces some changes to gameplay, the core elements, combat, progression, and difficulty, remain rooted in what we know. So, is this true evolution of the genre, or just a twist on the formula? Night Rain could be seen as more of an evolution in format. Procedural systems impact FromSoftware's traditional design philosophy. Next up, we have Wuchang, Fallen Feathers. Set in the Ming Dynasty and rooted in Chinese mythology, this game brings an entirely fresh cultural perspective to the Souls-like genre. But does it evolve the genre, or just offer a new coat of paint? Set in the Ming Dynasty, this is one of the first Souls-like games to delve into non-Western mythology. So how does it evolve the genre? One of the most exciting aspects of Wuchang is its cultural richness. Most Souls-like games are steeped in Western Gothic or medieval settings, but Wuchang introduces Chinese folklore with dragons, spirits, and mythological creatures. This adds an entirely new thematic layer, offering something distinctly different for players. It's not just a new skin, it's a new cultural lens that could shape how we view Souls-like worlds. This is a major evolution in the genre, offering players a completely different cultural perspective and mythology to explore. The game brings a world filled with traditional architecture, lush forests, and ancient Chinese folklore, offering a visually and thematically fresh take. The Feng Shui-inspired level design could make the environments feel distinct compared to the usual dark castles and crumbling ruins we're used to in Souls games. The game's world is lush, filled with traditional Chinese architecture, ancient temples, and mystical forests. And the way the world is designed speaks to a different philosophy of space, less about the oppressive, claustrophobic tension of Gothic architecture, and more about a sense of natural balance and harmony. The combat in Wu Chain is slower and more deliberate than Sekiro, with an emphasis on timing and precision for parries rather than aggressive deflection or speed. The timing-based combat gives players a different rhythm from the faster combat we've seen in most Souls-like games. The combat in Wu Chain is a significant departure from the usual Sekiro-style fast parries or Dark Souls stamina management. This game features slower, heavier combat requiring precise timing for parries rather than relying on speed. The timing-based combat forces players to read enemy movements closely, rewarding them with high-risk, high-reward parries. While the core mechanics follow the familiar risk/reward loop, Wu Chain introduces an entirely new cultural backdrop and a combat rhythm that could redefine what we expect from Souls-like games. Its cultural setting and combat mechanics add a much-needed layer of freshness to the formula. It's a true evolution, offering something radically different in both setting and combat style. It's not just a rehash, it's an evolution in how Souls-like games can integrate diverse cultural influences and different combat philosophies. Now, let's look at AI Limit, a cyberpunk-inspired Souls-like. With its futuristic setting, AI overlords, and technological oppression, it's definitely trying to stand out. AI Limit takes the genre in a bold new direction, into a cyberpunk dystopia where AI overlords control society. But how much innovation is there beneath the shiny, futuristic surface? Is it more than just a cool aesthetic? Does it offer real evolution, or is it simply a rehash of the same formula? The game's futuristic world is packed with neon lights, decaying cities, and a sense of technological oppression that's rarely explored in Souls-like games. It's a fascinating twist on the genre, showing how the core mechanics can adapt to a sci-fi dystopia, one that adds a new flavor to the genre. The futuristic world offers more environmental storytelling, focusing on corporate control, surveillance, and tech-driven apocalypse. One unique feature of AI Limit is its energy system, which replaces the traditional stamina bar and introduces a unique twist to the resource management aspect of combat. You'll need to carefully balance your energy between combat abilities, movement, and special actions. This could change how players approach encounters, offering more tactical flexibility. Instead of managing stamina, you'll need to balance combat abilities, special actions, and movement with your available energy. This could add a new layer of tactical flexibility to the gameplay, allowing for more creative approaches to combat. One of the most exciting features is that AI Limit includes real-time consequences for failure. If you fail a mission or make a critical mistake, it can change the environment around you. This could make the game feel more dynamic, requiring players to think on their feet. But despite the settings and the unique systems, the combat still feels very parry-centric and precision-driven, much like any other Souls-like game. The lack of significant innovation in combat mechanics makes it feel like the same old formula with a futuristic coat of paint. The plot about fighting against an oppressive AI has been done to death in cyberpunk media. The risk here is that while the setting is fresh, the core narrative might not offer anything new compared to other cyberpunk or Souls-like games. So, despite these innovations, however, the core combat still feels very familiar. The parry-centric combat and precision-based mechanics don't feel all that different from any other Souls-like game. The cyberpunk world offers fresh aesthetics, but at its heart, the game doesn't push the combat system forward in any meaningful way. Next, we have the first Berserker, Kazan, which takes a stylized, revenge-driven approach to the genre. With anime-inspired visuals and fluid combat, is it a true evolution of the formula, or does it just rely on flash? It's fast, fluid, and stylized. But is it just style with no substance? With its anime-inspired visuals, Kazan looks and feels different from the typical Souls-like. The shift towards anime aesthetics gives Kazan a distinct look and feel compared to the typical grim, dark world of most Souls-like games. The exaggerated expressions, colorful combat, and action-packed sequences are a far cry from the grim and muted tones we're used to. For some, this will be a refreshing change, a chance to experience a more dynamic and energetic combat flow. This visual departure could prove a refreshing change for players tired of the usual dark, muted color palettes. Combat in Kazan is faster and more fluid than in most Souls-like games. While it's still rooted in the usual dodge, strike, parry, loop, the pace is much quicker, allowing players to execute complex combos and rely on agility rather than just timing. The perfect parry mechanic rewards precision, offering players a real sense of mastery. The perfect parry system is an exciting and innovative approach to combat. Mastering this mechanic gives players a real sense of accomplishment. It adds a deeper layer of timing and skill mastery that rewards precision, making it feel like a more technical Souls-like experience. And because the combat is far faster than what we're usually seeing in Souls-like games, this shift towards agility and speed could appeal to players who are tired of the more methodical pacing of the genre. There's something exhilarating about constantly being on the move, dodging, striking, and parrying in perfect, rapid succession. Even with the anime visual style and faster combat, the underlying combat mechanics remain rooted in the traditional Souls-like formula. Dodge, strike, parry. It's all present. While the flow of combat might feel different, it's still based on the same principles that have been around for over a decade. The revenge narrative is a common trope in Souls-like games, often tied to themes of suffering and loss. While Kazan may have a fresh visual style, its core story could easily feel like a retread of themes explored in Sekiro and other revenge-driven tales. Despite these innovations in combat speed and visual style, the underlying mechanics feel very familiar. The revenge story, the Souls-like combat loop, and even the world design all feel like they could have come from another Souls-like game. So, does Kazan offer true innovation, or is it just a stylish rehash? So, where does the Souls-like genre go from here? It's clear that we're seeing evolution in some areas, whether it's in procedural generation, cultural diversity, or combat mechanics. Games like Wu-Chang and AI Limit prove that the genre can branch out thematically and narratively, while Kazan and Night Rain experiment with combat flow and co-op mechanics. Looking ahead at the upcoming games in 2025, it's clear that the Souls-like genre is at a crossroads. We're seeing some genuine innovation, perfect parries, cyberpunk dystopias, and non-Western mythologies, but we're also seeing a lot of imitations that cling to the same tried and true formula. It's not all perfect. Imitations are still prevalent, and some games take familiar elements and simply dress them up in a new skin. Developers are still grappling with the balance between innovation and sticking to the core elements that make Souls-like games so beloved. Will the genre continue to push boundaries, or will it get trapped in a loop of safe formulas? Is the genre evolving or just riding the same wave of success? The answer isn't simple. For Souls-like to evolve, developers will need to strike a balance between innovation and core identity. What we've seen in 2025 is an exciting blend of both. Games like Wu Chain, Fallen Feathers, and AI Limit prove that the genre can branch out thematically, while the first Berserker Kazan and Elden Ring Night Rain show that there's room to play with combat mechanics and game systems. These aren't just carbon copies of what came before, they're bold experiments with the framework of a genre that has defined modern gaming. But will this stick? That's still up for debate. As developers take more risks, the genre could either find new heights or burn out from the weight of its own formula. What's most exciting about the 2025 Souls-like games is that they are pushing the envelope, testing new settings, combat systems, and narrative structures. The procedural generation in Elden Ring Night Rain, the cultural richness of Wu Chang, and the cyberpunk mechanics of AI Limit all prove that there's more to the Souls-like genre than just what FromSoftware has established. But at the same time, they all have to be careful not to lose what makes the Souls-like experience so special. The tension, the mastery over combat, the slow and deliberate progression. These are all essential elements that can't be tossed aside. It's one thing to tweak the formula, it's another to change it so much that it loses what made it so impactful in the first place. If there's one thing we can be sure of though, it's that Souls-like will keep evolving, whether it's through mechanical innovation or narrative diversity. We're witnessing a genre at a moment of potential. What comes next will ultimately come down to risk. Will developers take bold, creative chances to push the genre forward, or will they stay in the comfort zone of what's already been done? Looking even further ahead, say in like 5 or 10 years, where will the Souls-like genre be? We might be seeing games that take advantage of AI-driven storytelling with NPCs that react dynamically to your actions and adapt based on player choices in a truly dynamic world. Perhaps narrative paths will shift based on your combat skills or how you engage with the lore, or even games that blend Souls-like gameplay with roguelike and MMO elements. We could see the genre evolve into more immersive simulations, where every choice impacts the world around you in real time. The genre could evolve in unexpected ways, maybe even blending with genres like roguelikes, Metroidvanias, or MMOs. But for now, the future of Souls-like is about finding new paths within old traditions. The genre is rooted in difficulty, challenge, and mastery over time, and that's a foundation that will always have something fresh to offer. It's about pushing boundaries without losing the core elements that define what makes these games so special. What do you think? Are these 2025 titles the real evolution the genre needs? Or are we just seeing more of the same dressed in a new coat? Are developers playing it too safe, or are they finally ready to take the leap and truly reinvent the genre? Let me know in the comments below which Souls-like games are you excited about in 2025. Do you think the genre is evolving, or is it just stuck in a loop of imitations? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications so you know when we post new videos, and don't miss out on future deep dives into the evolution of gaming. As well, if you have not already, please head on over to twitch.tv/limerivt so you can watch me play Souls-like games on the daily. Thanks for watching, and keep playing, exploring, and preserving in the face of impossible odds. Goodbye!